It's almost 3 p.m. So the webinar will start in a few minutes. I just want to introduce a bit, a bit this kind of webinar that is worth to follow, because there are a lot of information and a lot of insights about how to invest in the film industry and also obtain a reasonable capital gain in this investing. Investing in film is always a bit complicated, because for who doesn't know exactly how it works, it could be a bit challenging, a bit scary, challenging, and at the same time, meeting bumps and unknown situation. So here I am exactly to avoid this kind of problematic situation, and to provide insights related to the path in order to come in the investment industry, investment in film industry, with confidence and certainty that you investors, you will get money back, and of course having a reasonable capital gain, like ROI, like return on investment. The fact is, most of the time, the producers, they don't have a certain knowledge at the level of distribution. That is the most important. I don't It's not the most important, but it's a key factor in the order to convert all the job to producing the film product into money, into income, revenue. So that is like, if you produce some product, any kind of product, yet, and then you don't have a sales, department. That's create or even though if you have, is not a proper proper setup, and then the output will become weak, become not enough, or don't, or it doesn't meet the adequate goal for the production company. So here we are in this webinar. We are exactly to highlight the important factors that are related to this matter of output. This outcome that should be at the best, at the top, because that's is important factor. But not just that, because that is the most typical situation that happen in the production, within the production companies. But it's not just that. It's something more. So in this webinar, we'll evaluate. We already the day first already we access this kind of critical points to evaluate, to understand what could be in general the critical points in order to optimize the final output of production and distribution of a film. So here, now we're gonna start the second day today. Right now, we can start, and as I said, so the goal. This is the second day, and the goal is to individuate the points, the key factor in order to invest in the film industry with confidence and obtain this kind of reasonable return and satisfactory capital gain in completely safe environment. So I am Marco Taloni, and I run the agency Mark Taloni Investment Agency in the film industry, exclusively in the film industry. This webinar will continue today, the second day, until truth this Saturday at 3 o'clock, at 3 p.m. Eastern time, but Saturday will be at 11 o'clock. So every day we discuss the stages and issues to be individuated in such a type of investment, disclose the strategy and secrets in order to be on the right path and to be sure that our investment will be as expected. Yesterday, we discussed about optimizing the mechanism of the entire process from production to sales, which means the distribution of an independent film. We also discussed Hollywood studios and the model we should implement to succeed in a niche market of the film industry. So this direction ensures financial success because this webinar is related to maximizing our financial return in the independent film industry and understanding the mechanisms of the entire process of making a revenue from a produced film. Again, it's a fundamental factor where we must adequately identify the mechanism of the complete process from production and sales of the film that generate the highest level of optimization for each mechanism and its components, apply them all together to get to the finish line safe and satisfied to have obtained our primary goal. So we are not here to compete. This is not a competition in film competition, to get to the first position at the finish line. But we work on arriving at the finish line reasonably and with a good level of a positive financial outcome. Then it might also be that we can arrive first. It might happen, but we work to get our average market in a niche. So that's our major point. Today, we will discuss safety to assure we achieve the minimum 100% return on investment in a short period. We spoke about the gap, the broken mechanism that often exists between the film production and sales. Basically, it's the sales mechanism that is not adequately incorporated into the entire process. Yes, of course, we spoke that the other mechanisms are fundamental as well, like the development related to the script and the initial setup, then production of the films, and its readiness for selling, and finally the distribution to sell it. This mechanism is most of the time, the last one, the sales, the time missing, as I said at the beginning, is the gap that most producer and investors encounter. Let's go about safety, so this part. Everybody wants that. We want to be sure that we navigate ourselves in a proper environment and structure. We don't go to bump into unpleasant surprises or even get involved in frauds, unreliable situation, or even people. So we call that a component that is present in each mechanism of our process of film production and distribution. So each mechanism and its component must have safety measures set. We must respond to a series of tasks that need to be implemented to prevent or even individuate eventual traps and holes in a mechanism. So let's summarize the mechanism of film production and sales. We did that yesterday, but we expand. So the first is agreements. We are talking about safety. Agreements and equity investing that locking. Second is the development, then the script, artistic story, ambient, target, goal, and mechanism setup. Pre-production, that is cast, director, producer, crew, locations, technical, schedules, management. Then we have post-production, the lab, fact, visual effects, assembling, master generation of the film. Then distribution, the strategy, schedule, dubbing and subtitle, promo teams per region, DCP plan. That DCP is a digital cinema package plan. They have to be planned that. Cinemas booking per region, administration of share of the box office. So these are the mechanism of the whole process of production and sales for the film. Let's call the machine. We call that safety again. So the simple answer is for each mechanism extended to each component, we must run safety protocol, not safety only for the workplace, but safety for the business run. It means that the whole process won't encounter problems that would delay or impede the entire process carried on. Or even worse, to encounter fraudulent situation like people that would assure some output for some mechanism and instead were false. Then we need a reliability for every component. So number one, agreements and equity investing, locking. So at this stage, we must lock the financial commitment to set the approved budget and assure that legally binding project will provide to the film production and distribution financiers that the ownership of the finished film or films will be theirs. So the ideal model is that financiers must be safeguarded about their finances, which must always be controlled and not just pour funds into an external system that is out of control. Then adequate assurance for the film project that must be realized following the approved plan and having a plan B ready to go if some incident happens. For example, the director or even the producer who has been accurately, selected for some unknown reason gets sick or loses the brain. It shall be promptly substituted, impeding any interruption of the schedule. See, even something weird can happen. But now I want to point out a fundamental factor related to secure components. Schedule. It's the schedules. Schedules are for all mechanisms, and their fundamental components are the other anyway. All the for the other schedule means costs. So then, even though it's inevitable, some delay must be calculated as a contingencies to have in the budget. We had to have always a plan B for components of a mechanism. The unpredictable is always hidden. And even if you think that everything has been evaluated, there will always be something hidden that seems impossible, but it can happen. So, well, that's everywhere. It's not just filming. So, example, it can happen in a warehouse. Just for instance, during distribution schedules, maybe a gas pipe explodes and disrupts merchandise, people, and processes. So we cannot anticipate 100% everything. However, we have to think about all the problems that might arise while exploiting a mechanism. So when we have the assurance that the rights of the film project shall be unequivocally legally turned to the financiers, that the film producers are obliged to finish the film production, the finished movie, in a certain time, as per the approval plan, the process is secured for financiers. There is no risk whatsoever about the equity, and then owning the final products. Of course, it's a fundamental that the sales process is planned and set in advance through an approved plan secured with a written binding agreement between the distributor, the financiers, and the initial film project right holders and their producers. So we have to secure the mechanism. Every key individual must be agreed and have a secure process set in the way that everything is ready to go toward the final goal without interruptions. And just cut it off, all unsafety happening. Every key individual has to be on the same page. This is the first step to secure the operation. But we want to be sure that the film project, the director, the producers are reliable and the distribution is reliable. How do I know those individuals are good enough to reach the point? The best thing is to have a project manager, an executive who has the capability and the whole project in his or her hands. A project manager who has clarified and worked I work out everything that has already anticipated and the key factor, understood clearly the distribution capability and knows the entire process in and out. So an executive manager is a part of the project. Is a somebody who knows the stories, has read the script, knows the director, knows the production, understands the mechanism, and knows in and out the entire operation. What? Me? Well, of course, I am one of these individuals because I run the agency Mark Taloni Investment in films, as mentioned before, and not just that. However, my model is not a financial advisor. I don't suggest projects or operation to investors. My model is to be in it, to control each step of the chosen operation from A to Z. An investor or producers needs to individuate for an operation an individual like me that has hands in the operation and execute the management. That's the person you should deal with. Why? Well, in this webinar, I'm providing the tricks and tips to get through a successful film production and distribution operation. I want to help others. I also invite people to stand up as independent producers and investors to navigate a successful procedure for independent production and distribution of a film, or more than one film. As I said, I don't want to compete with Hollywood studios, but want to be like them at a niche level. Most of the time, the Hollywood studios are not at a niche level, but they might get, an independent project and put it on the screen, but it is still under their full control and organization. I do the same, and I want to let you know how it works by this webinar. You can do that by yourself or with my organization if you need. Back to how to be sure about the operation again, you have to speak and meet with executive manager who is carry out the entire operation, which can be for one or more films to be produced. So, well, I am right now starting the so-called Operation 3 films. Already shows, even yesterday, some in the web screen share some information about the Operation 3 film pitch. This is online. This is an amazing project related to the simultaneous production of a 3 film project by 3 different authors, 3 different directors, 3 different producers, all of which are supported by the distribution company 1GJV Media. This, for example, would you like to understand safety measures secure this project, for example, you should speak with me. In this case, obviously, because I am the project manager for Operation 3 Films. The truth is that I created this Operation 3 Film from A to Z, and I am discussing this webinar the tricks and tips on how to realize such operation of producing and distributing film projects. Yes, yesterday we spoke about the goal of an operation to reach the minimal or goal of 100% capital gain in a short time. In this webinar, I will explain step by step how it works. Now, let's keep going to talk about security and safety for finance and business. So we understood how to secure and assure the safety of the entire operation, how to safely secure the finances, and how to ensure that everything shall go as expected. By binding agreement, we assured that the production of the film project or project would be executed in the terms agreed upon and with no chances of delays, and with a binding agreement about the property, which will be exclusive of the investors. About the property of the films, my model is exactly related to ownership of the films, but to not confuse with something like to purchase an existing corporation. This is a very important factor. No, no, it's not like that. The investors don't purchase anything. The model is the investor will become owners of the film while financing their production by the creation of a brand new corporation where the funding will go first. So it will be a new corporation, brand new corporation, fresh, brand new, where the funding will go. Then the agreement will be turned to this corporation, like a certain binding agreement between, as I said before, authors, producers, distribution. Everything is turned around toward this brand new corporation. It's like funding the generation of products and owning them and selling them, not just one time, but selling them repeatedly until exhaustion. From 3 to more than 15 years selling the same products. Who sell them? The distribution in agreement since the beginning. So the distribution should, as yesterday I said, has to be in-house. In my case, is a 1GJG, sorry, 1GJV Media. 1GJV Media is an agreement already in my Operation 3 Films with producers, writers, and then with investors to perpetually selling the films. It's rock solid structure for generating higher return on investment. And meanwhile, such operation moves forward. A year later, it can be implemented, a new similar operation, and so on. Imagine the opportunities. Let's talk about the safety of the number second mechanism, pre-production. So we talk about agreement, pre-production. We have the entire operation set, and the plans are approved by the writer, producer, distributor, and financiers. We approved how a film's production would be conducted because it was submitted at the time of the agreements. It was previously discussed with the project manager, who then has approved the production plan, which he has submitted and discussed with the financiers. Eventual modification can be contemplated, of course. Then the production plan includes all components necessary to finish the film, which will become a movie ready to be sold in theaters. All these components will be evaluated, and here you go: safety, risk management. Potential contingency will be addressed and a solution proposed. It could be anything, for example, a simple rupture of machinery, which of course generate delays, but promptly we have a way to replace it to minimize the problem. Just for instance, during the film production, many professional teams are involved. I'm not going to exploit that in this webinar because the work of teams and the professional individual involved is huge. But reliability is the word. How can we be so sure that the teams involved are reliable? Of course, we must delegate components. Every team has a scope. in production, film production. Those people are not out of from the moon, this professional involved. They are professionally navigated individual with experience. And then the entire team, for example, the electrician's team, or makeup, or dresses, stages of the set, etc., etc. There are many components that work coordinated with others. There is a production manager. Sorry, one second. There is a production manager team that um, who coordinates each component. But for example, for electrician, the team is hired through an agency contacting a professional group that provides this team, which will have the manager of the electricians, which will deal with the production manager team. Everything is connected and articulated. The key point is organization, or organizational focus. I already started to talk about yesterday. Quindi organization of the production with a producer management team coordinating and programming the production. It's a chain of command with workers and executors. This structure of the entire production must be elaborated through an approved plan organized during the phase of pre-production. I know many of you watching now this producer film production, but bear with me because this information is needed for investors and also for others in the film industry. Here, risk and contingency will be elaborated. Pre-production is not a short time. It might need 1 month or even 6 months. Avatar 2, for example, took years between development, pre-production, production, and post-production. Years. Of course, we are talking about a multi-billion-dollar box office colossus that has spent $400 million to be produced. I'm not sure, but reached 600 million, including PEA, print advertising. As I explained yesterday, what does it mean, PEA? So pre-production phase seems just a small process, but actually is a very important mechanism. And all mechanisms are important. We said that. We have to eliminate gaps, between components and among mechanisms. Optimizing the process will ensure success. Capability maturity model integration. We spoke yesterday about this model. Once the pre-production is set and we have teams ready, we go into production. Of course, in pre-production, we establish schedule that must be compiled. It depends on location, performance availability, scenes characteristics. So the schedule won't follow the number of the scenes in the script. I mean, they will not be in sequence as the script for the reason, I just said, I just mentioned. But the schedule for shooting the film will be grouping scenes by the necessity of the team's production and locations. I am avoiding explaining details of what happens when a film is produced, because there are many things, big and small, to consider. This webinar is not the place for it. I will need another week for it to explain it. But if producers, writers, directors need help discussing problem or have related inquiries, you can contact me, mtaloni at 1gjv.net. But in general, as we said, the teams are selected and reliable, and they know what they're doing, and they know how to respond to the director's demand and the production as a consequence. The director decides how a scene should be shot artistically and technically with the help of the related teams. For example, if there are explosions, weapons, or some acrobatic scene, a team specialized in such a function will be implemented, and they will be ready to provide what the director and production want. So that's pretty much that's pretty much it. See, it's a matter of organization. So we need optimization structure, optimized structure to eliminate problems, optimize the flow of the scenes shooting so that the result will be as expected. Performers, this means actors will know what to do. Performers are selected based on the type of a character needed. Here, there's a casting agency, the casting manager. Sometimes, the actor are preferred to others, but are unavailable or only for certain periods. So the schedule should also be prepared, based, for example, on these specific needs. Securing the production, it means that is doing proper schedule with contingencies that are included and shooting the principal photography until it is completed. At the same time, the material that has been completed goes to the post-production lab. Here there will be a team part of the operation during the pre-production. Risks post-production? Oh, nothing really, because it's very technical. The lab is a quiet, prepared, and it's their interest to provide an excellent job. They will work assembling the scenes and creating color grades, effect, and CGI, that stands for computer generated imagery. CGI is basically images embedded into the film itself, creating special effects, backgrounds, and other visual effects. So again, risks here is a technical job. Nothing really should happen. Then when the film principal photography, we call that, let's call it that, is ultimately completed, the director will examine what job has all the scenes already has been assembled, and then to the final refining, and we'll work it out together with the director with the specific color specific color grade, and also provide a pace as decided for the artistic effect of the film. So that's all with the risk, a process of the production mechanism for now. We spoke in general about assembling a production, avoiding risks, and evaluating it in pre-production time. Then the pre-production is well done and well managed, and the production and post should go smoothly until the end of obtaining a final film product that is ready to be sent to cinemas. For production, the time to complete could be 1 month, 2 months for a film of around 90 minutes. Post-production could be 2 months, 3 or 4, depending on how much job is involved with a specific type of film. However, it will already be discussed in the pre-production phase. So at this point, we have a film completed. So let's see, for example, Operation Three Films as an example, who had three production, and of course 3 post-production simultaneously. Now all the teams involved in the production of the film product are out because they are done. Everything is done. Each producer with the team has completed the films. The films are ready. So the teams that will still be active are the distribution teams. Their role is crucial as they are responsible for getting the film to audience, which is ultimately the goal of the entire production process. So that's is another step that we start to go into details tomorrow. But the distribution team, which was already working on the operation, is a different office. It's not the same group. They will receive cuts of the film, which are selected pieces needed to make trailers. Small little pieces to like teasers that will also start to obtain stills, so like picture, to generate posters, banners needed for advertising. So here, promo marketing, advertising is a very important part. It's very hard, it's very difficult point, very critical, because also very expensive. So anyway, this depends on the operation. The distribution team might already, start bringing some material to advertising circle in the region where the film or films will be shown first. So of course, the distribution mechanism should also already start booking with the cinema following the schedule. That's why the distribution gap must be filled. This term refers to the period between the completion of the film and its release in cinemas. So from my point of view, to maximize the return on investment for financiers, this gap must be minimized, actually eliminated. So this is a critical point. Critical point. That's the gap we should completely make disappear. Distribution must be part of the entire operation from the beginning. That's the key to respecting timing, schedules, a planned financial return. That's how Hollywood studios do. And that's what I do. Niche. That's what we will aim. Niche. To do a reasonable job, something that cinemas cannot refuse with a certain level of certainty. And to have that, we need the organization. That's I'm talking about so far, including organized distribution. Today, we conclude here. I just want to speak about 100% minimum guaranteed, but this is a minimum guaranteed by the distributor that is expected, but is expected more than that. Only in the first phase, of the distribution. Somebody asked me that he heard, she heard 300% or even 1,000% capital gain. How is it possible? Is it real? In this webinar, we will go through, details to show how it is possible to achieve such numbers. What is the driver to bring up such amount? So see you tomorrow. Thank you for participating in this webinar. This is the second day. Tomorrow will be the third day, until through Saturday included. Saturday will be 11 o'clock. Now, let me just complete the day, just to go through again somebody want. So this webinar is recorded. So already the day one, yesterday, already online, I guess. I think if Operation Three Films Facebook, I guess, but there will be also in other social media. And who register, if I have emails, I send you the links. So now I want to share. Allow me to share the part of the Operation Three Films, that they're doing. So this is the operation. See, this is the website related to Operation Three Films. Is marktaloninvestments.net/investors pitch. So here speaks about a lot of things I'm, of course, because I made it. So things I'm speaking about in this webinar is also discussed here in this page. And then here we have our Operation Three film, because there are three films. We have Displaced Instinct, that is a romance, violence, psychological. The Tiny Doors, horror art house relationships, and Two Hearts Ran, inspirational drama, music, romance. So they are selected. They are beautiful films, like project in English language. And for example, we have, let's see, so here you click in the film, and we have to access to the page of the film. Then we need a password is 100 capital ROI. So this is everything in this website is accessible through this password 100 all capital ROI. Very simple. 100, yeah, 100 ROI. So this is the space instinct is very beautiful. It's violent, but it's very this is a wrong entry. So, wrong entry. Please go back. Okay, retry what I did. 100 ROI. Submit. I made it. I did. I made it. So then this is there is a video concept that talk about the operation, and there is a introduction. There is a film video concept, a video concept. This is me that I'm talking about the film, and then we have a video concept here. I don't know if it's possible to hear it. There is, of course, the sound, and then is the introduction, video introduction, the concept, the idea of the film, how the story, how it's not would be not like that, of course, but this is an idea how it could be. So this is the displaced instinct. So I stop here, and thank you again. See you tomorrow at 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. Thank you.